It all kicks off at the first academy of Kunjiang City, where a massive beam of light completely tears through the sky. The crowd quickly loses their minds, realizing that the genius student Xu Xiaojing is triggering a crazy anomaly during her awakening. The young girl holds an unshackable stance as the whole epic event unfolds. The trainees start whispering about whether she'll score a top-tier class, pointing out that this kind of divine light has to mean something ridiculously overpowered. The teacher celebrates like there is no tomorrow, seeing his luck finally turn around, and hypes up the class by announcing the glow is taking the shape of a weapon. Right in the middle of the magic circle, a colossal, heavily ornamented blade pops into existence. Shortly after, a gentle hand grips the weapon's hilt with pure determination. A grand six-winged angelic figure shows up inside the light beam, casually wielding the giant sword. With his jaw practically on the floor, the instructor realizes it's a legendary class with its holy stats completely maxed out. He immediately shouts at the top of his lungs that Xu Xiaojing unlocked the epic six-winged angel class and scored the holy light sword. The angelic entity hovers looking absolutely majestic, lighting up the entire schoolyard. With this massive flex, the students go wild, cheering for the absolute power of the most popular girl in school. Watching all this hype from a distance, Wei Dao admits the girl is actually pretty amazing for snagging an epic class. It's been 300 years since space portals started popping up all over the globe, linking Earth to hidden dimensions and kicking off an era of absolute chaos. Monstrous beasts poured out of these uncharted domains, rushing human society and causing countless casualties. Ever since that milestone, humans gained the ability to awaken classes and level up by clearing out these secret zones. This way, humanity clawed back the power to go toe-to-toe with these mutant creatures. Throwing down in direct combat became the #1 method to survive the beast threat. Classes were divided into 5 core categories, ranging from the bottom tier all the way up to epic. However, there are rumors about hidden, mysterious vocations that totally break the normal ranking system. Our MC celebrates the fact that he's been grinding the books non-stop since his reincarnation, focusing entirely on this exact awakening moment. The teacher congratulates Xiaojing for being the first person in the city to snag an epic class this year. Keeping her head down humbly, the girl expresses her thanks and swears she'll keep giving it her all. Right after, she steps off the stage, walking right past our MC. The student straight up declares she'll show everyone who the real prodigy is, totally sick of being overshadowed by him for the last few years. The crowd takes the chance to totally simp for the girl, hyping her up and claiming she'll definitely leave Wei Dao in the dust now. Right on cue, the instructor calls Wei Dao up to be the next one to awaken. As the guy walks up, his classmates wonder if his perfect grades will actually be enough to get him a class better than the school idols. Keeping quiet, the instructor is harboring some seriously high hopes, praying the kid gets an epic class and brings some major prestige to the academy. The kid steps right into the middle of the awakening platform, practically overflowing with confidence. Feeling the energy coursing through him, the young man asks for the procedure to kick off. Clenching his fist and gathering beams of light, he officially announces his awakening. A wild burst of power creates a massive windstorm across the whole area. The pillar of light wrapping around Wei Dao grows to a gigantic size, leaving the audience totally spooked. In a flash, the sky gets swallowed by dark clouds and lightning, making the students realize the holy angel vibe just got swapped out for a bone-chilling cold. A colossal hooded skull takes shape in the clouds, totally creeping out everyone watching. A bunch of other spooky skeletal remains start floating in the sky around the main apparition. Sweating bullets, the teacher admits he's never seen such a weird anomaly and wonders what on earth the kid is doing. Even though she knows they're just illusions, Xu Xiaojing feels a serious shiver run down her spine. Right in the middle of the spooky tornado, the MC is totally embracing that feeling of ultimate power. He channels the energy of the purple hurricane, praying to get blessed with max luck from the system. The dark energy aggressively swirls around the kid's body. A bright flash goes off, pulling all the power right into the center of the platform. Out of this entire epic, high-energy light show, a single, ordinary shovel just floats there in mid-air. Wei Dao grabs the item with both hands, looking absolutely clueless about what just happened. The teacher checks the system, which shows the kid got the hidden undead summoner class, getting a literal shovel as his starting gear. An incredibly awkward silence washes over the massive crowd, watching the whole thing. Then, the students completely lose it, bursting into laughter and roasting the fact that all that special effects budget resulted in a gardening tool. With her arms crossed and a super smug vibe, Xu Xiaojing figures she definitely took the W in this rivalry. The MC just keeps staring at his gear, totally convinced there has to be some glitch behind this massive letdown. He quickly decides to pop open his status panel to see what's actually going on. The interface reveals he's got the Eternal Immortality talent, which lets him stack up unlimited summons. Suddenly hyped, he realizes his hidden class gives him the chance to raise an entire army of undead, putting him in a league of his own. Thinking about it, the kid guesses his shovel isn't just your average hardware store pickup either. The system notes that burying opponents with this tool gives the user extra bonus perks. A massive grin spreads across his face when he sees he'll get XP from taking down beasts, and extra loot from putting them in the ground. The instructor puts a hand on the kid's shoulder and asks for a quick showcase of his skill, figuring his power has to be pretty solid. Stretching out his arm, Wei Dao casts a summoning spell. A purple magic array pops up on the floor, throwing off electrical sparks. An average, squishy skeleton with 0 weapons stands up in the middle of the mystic glow. Checking out the summon, the teacher notices it's a skeleton mage, literally the weakest tier of beasts around. He rests his hand on the creature's skull, trying to figure out why a hidden class would spit out something so harmless. But the monster literally crumbles into a pile of bones from just that tiny little tap. The crowd starts cracking up again, totally mocking the creature for not even surviving a simple poke. Completely unfazed, Wei Dao just flashes a super confident smirk. The teacher tries to comfort the kid, pointing out that a base level mage really doesn't have much defense anyway. Exactly at that second, the MC just snaps his fingers. Countless purple magic circles light up the sky all at once. The teacher backs up, totally startled as a literal waterfall of skeletons comes crashing down around them. The summoner drops the mic, saying things look a little different if he calls them all out at the same time. Standing in front of a glowing undead legion, he wonders out loud how exactly opponents are supposed to deal with that. The skeleton squad falls into formation looking incredibly epic, waiting for orders. The trainees are left speechless by the ridiculous number of monsters. Breaking into a cold sweat, Su Xiaojing finally gets that the real power of this summon is just throwing endless numbers at the problem. The instructor gives a nod of approval, figuring this is the exclusive perk tied to the secret class. Staying positive, the teacher assures Wei Dao that his future is looking bright, even with the goofy starter weapon. Shortly after, the teacher asks the kid to pack up his creatures to keep the ceremony moving, which he does right away. While putting his army away, the MC thinks about how everyone assumes he just summons average skeletons, but he spotted a little extra detail in the ritual. During the whole light show, the legendary Bone Dragon also made an appearance, giving him the absolute certainty that the beast will be taking his orders soon enough. An hour later, the whole school event finally wraps up. The teacher officially calls it a day, congratulating all the students who successfully awakened their classes. He drops the news that tomorrow morning, everyone's heading to the beginner dungeon to level up, and top performers are getting rewards. Strolling through the courtyard, Wei Dao thinks the plan is perfect, since he'll be able to level up and stack some bonus points on the side. Meanwhile, the students huddle up in little groups outside to brainstorm their next moves. Seeing an opening, a classmate walks up to Su Xiaojing, offering to team up for tomorrow's trial. With absolutely zero chill, the girl shoots the offer down instantly and tells the guy to get out of her way. Ignoring the rejected dude, she turns around and yells for Wei Dao, telling him to hold up a second. The MC stops walking and asks what she wants to talk about, getting straight to the point. Su Xiaojing announces that today's event didn't settle anything, challenging him to a rematch inside the dungeon. With his shovel on his back, the guy accepts the challenge on the spot, but throws a little shade by saying she won't be able to beat him anyway. Furious at his smug attitude, the school idol snaps back, saying he's just talking nonsense. White knighting for her, the rejected student pulls out a shiny sword, acting super offended by how Wei Dao is talking to the girl. The attacker lunges forward, promising to break the MC's legs so he can't even enter the dungeon, but the strike gets totally blocked by the shovel. Right then, Xiaojing steps in, calling the sword guy Qian Zhao, and telling him she doesn't need bodyguards because she plans to win fair and square. Backing off super salty, Qian Zhao warns that he's only letting the kid slide out of respect for her, and tells him to watch his back tomorrow. The fighter drops one last threat, swearing he'd put the summoner in the hospital for a full month if it was up to him. Completely unbothered by the trash talk, Wei Dao just nods and says he'll be waiting. The next morning, the trainees are escorted to a massive, heavily guarded military complex. The zone is the official testing ground where all the training dungeons are located. Surrounded by the crowd, the kids chat excitedly about the first test, gossiping about the 3 hidden domains in the area. One of them agrees but complains that noobs only get a free pass to the easiest zone, wishing they could check out the others. While waiting for the briefing, Su Xiaojing marches right back over to the MC. The girl asks if he's going solo or teaming up, and gets the super obvious answer that he's flying solo. Happy with the answer, she promises she'll also run it without a team, just so he can't use his teammates as an excuse when he loses. Out of nowhere, the group's attention is grabbed by an instructor on a platform, calling out to the trainees at max volume. Using a megaphone, the guy breaks down the rules. The trial lasts 8 hours, and hitting level 3 gets you bonus points on your final grade. The teens listen to the rules super carefully, totally locked in on getting that perfect score. Plus, the instructor adds that taking down tougher beasts gives way better bonuses, and immediately kicks off the trial. The giant spiral portal of the Barren Plains dungeon glows brightly, waiting for the players. Without wasting a second, the mob of students sprints like crazy right into the dimensional vortex. Taking a chill walk in the back, Wei Dao finds his classmates try hard energy absolutely hilarious. Standing in front of the portal, the guy figures he probably needs to show at least a little bit of hype for this whole thing. As soon as he crosses the dimensional rift, the MC steps onto a bright, green pasture. Checking out the area, he notices he's totally alone and guesses the portal drops everyone in different spawn points. While taking it all in, a weird noise coming from the bushes catches his attention. He quickly spots a prairie marmot, noticing that the weakest mob in the zone actually looks pretty cute. But then, the little animal flashes its fangs and lets out a surprisingly savage roar. Spooked by the sudden mood swing, the kid covers his ears, totally confused about why the little guy is throwing such a tantrum. Suddenly, the marmot leaps with insane speed right at his face, leaving the teen genuinely impressed by its agility. Unable to dodge in time, the MC takes a direct hit from the little beast's surprise tackle. The animal viciously sinks its teeth into his outfit, but he just handles the whole thing looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Totally unbothered, he stares at the thing hanging off his shoulder without showing even a hint of pain. Running out of patience, the guy grabs the marmot by the scruff of its neck and demands it let go of his arm right now. Holding the creature up, he lectures it, asking where it got the audacity to try a sneak attack on him. With that said, he tosses the beast at the ground and delivers a solid kick, sending the animal flying way across the field. The marmot rolls through the grass, letting out little whimpers after taking that precision strike. Checking the damage to his gear, the kid admits that if he hadn't reacted fast, he'd have caught a pretty nasty injury. Not giving it a break, he snaps his fingers, announcing that the beast is about to face the consequences of its actions. A dark mist takes over the area the second a spooky skeleton mage gets summoned in. Right after, dozens of other skeletons burst out of the ground all at once, giving the field major horror movie vibes. The squad of 50 entry-level mages falls into formation in the blink of an eye, quietly waiting for their boss to give the word. Pointing straight at the terrified beast, Wei Dao orders his troops to clear the area. Following orders, the mages unleash an absolutely relentless barrage of fireballs straight at the helpless target. The focused fire causes a massive blast that kicks up a ton of dirt and completely wrecks the surrounding terrain. As soon as the smoke clears, the little creature's remains are totally scorched on the ground, while its essence just fades into the wind. The interface pops up saying the takedown was a success, handing over 10 precious XP points for eliminating a level 0 mob. Doing the math, the summoner gets annoyed, realizing that with this kind of pocket change, it's going to take forever to hit level 3. Hyped about his numbers advantage, the kid remembers he's got an entire squad on standby to speedrun the heavy lifting. Putting the undead on autopilot, he tells them to scout the whole area and wipe out any beast that crosses their path. Far away from the combat zone, a steaming cup of tea is gently set down on a fancy wooden table. Inside a conference room, leaders are having a chill debate, and one of them asks if veteran Wang actually thinks he can take the win. Holding his drink like a total boss, the first academy principal claps back that victory is just an obvious outcome. The rival notices the old man's confidence and admits his school definitely deserves the hype for producing a student with an epic class. Right then, a third guy jumps into the chat, reminding everyone that Wang's academy also managed to spawn a hidden class. Hearing this wild plot twist, the rival principal does a massive spit take with his tea. Totally mind blown by the news, old man Meng asks in disbelief if that info is actually legit. Flexing a bit, Wang confirms the rumor, saying he's super eager to watch his students take down some elite beasts. While the boomers debate, the dungeon is an absolute war zone, with dozens of marmots getting blasted by fire. The beasts are getting launched into the air amidst the crossfire, while the spells completely trash every inch of the green field. Running the chaos, the skeleton legion burns everything in sight, turning the peaceful meadow into a total nightmare for the wildlife. Chilling on the grass, Wei Dao celebrates the fact that fighting this way is genuinely awesome. Experience points just keep pouring in non-stop while the guy takes a breather. He thinks it's amazing to level up without breaking a sweat. figuring this has to be the ultimate perk of his secret class. But, realizing he can't just slack off forever, the summoner decides it's time to test out his little metal tool. Focused, the MC walks up to the fallen animal and decides to bury the beast to see what drops. Right away, the kid starts digging a hole and tossing dirt over the creature. In a matter of seconds, the low-level mob is completely underground. With the manual labor done, the teen wipes the sweat off his face and takes a deep breath. Hyped about the feature, he waits eagerly to see what kind of bonus loot he's getting. The interface immediately lists the rewards, making new items glow right on top of the freshly packed dirt. Looking at the system, the kid realizes he scored a rustic bracelet, some incense, and a dark bottle filled with corpse oil. Confused, the student grabs the incense, wondering what kind of sketchy items these are, considering the names are super weird. Even though it's bizarre, the guy pops the item right away to test out the practical buffs on the spot. A massive wave of XP suddenly floods his vision. Thanks to this crazy power surge, Wei Dao hits level 2 and is absolutely floored. The virtual screen confirms his latest win with a bright notification. Thrilled with the results, the kid figures farming XP this way is honestly way too easy. Next up, he grabs the dark bottle and decides to test out the second drop from his excavation. Pouring the liquid onto his own skin, the kid instantly gets a direct buff to his physical stats. Happy with the HP boost, the guy sees the strat is working and decides to use a bunch more. Without thinking twice, the MC empties the entire bottle on himself, while the buffs just keep stacking. Feeling the power rushing through his veins, the student is amazed by the insane amount of energy he just absorbed. The kid checks the stats and notices the buff only lasts 10 minutes, but admits the boost is crazy strong. Super motivated, the kid sprints across the meadow carrying his tool, completely focused on digging more graves. Suddenly, a notification pops up saying his skeleton mage count just dropped by 1. Freaked out by the explosions going off in the distance, the MC tries to figure out what's happening to his squad. A massive, completely enraged wild boar charges in, totally wrecking the skeleton troops with savage hits. The interface tags the beast as a level 3 elite enemy, proving it packs a serious punch. Instantly, Wei Dao realizes his squishy magic minions stood zero chance against a heavy hitter like that. The giant wild animal lets out a terrifying squeal, making it clear it's not here to mess around. Completely furious, the beast starts charging in a straight line, using its massive tusks as weapons. The sheer force of the charge kicks up a huge dust cloud, while the kid realizes he just became the beast's new target. The summoner starts running for his life across the field, begging the massive monster to stay away. But the brutal beast just speeds up the chase, roaring aggressively right on his heels. Cornered by the imminent danger, the kid digs his heels into the dirt, kicking up dust. He spins around to face the enemy, sticking his arm out to cast a spell, ordering his troops to body block the charge. The skeletons throw themselves in the way to protect their boss, but get completely shattered by the violent impact. Even with the damage, the bone wall manages to absorb a lot of the force, slowing down the beast's momentum. Dropping to his knees in the dirt, Wei Dao lets out a breath, relieved that he has enough minions to prevent any major damage. Getting back up, the student flexes his dark aura and orders a brand new mass recruitment. He totally blocks the monster's path, realizing the creature has insane attack power but completely sucks at turning corners. Surrounded by the spooky battalion, the huge beast roars, trying to find an escape route through the enemies. The kid capitalizes on the numbers advantage, knowing the animal leaves its flanks wide open during a charge. Following his command, the mob of skeletons unleashes fire blasts all at once, causing a massive explosion right on the enemy. Unable to tank the focused fire, the imposing elite beast finally drops for good on the grass. The victory bonus hits immediately, with a golden beam of light shining down on the kid. The interface announces he just scored an elite leather outfit, listing off all the sweet buffs. Totally shocked by his awesome luck, the kid celebrates that the takedown dropped such high-tier loot. He immediately equips the shiny new gear, feeling his defense spike up the very next second. Feeling way more secure than before, the guy grabs his arcane tool, ready for the next phase. To make sure the giant body doesn't go to waste, the MC starts digging to see if he can roll some more top-tier rewards. The burial is done, and in the blink of an eye, 2 glowing orbs pop out of the freshly turned dirt. Disappointed, the student complains about the low drop rate, remembering that the tiny animal from before gave way better loot. However, the glowing orbs reveal themselves to be floating manuals, making the kid change his tune instantly. The system says the items are magic skill books that teach the Phantom Flames spell and the Wild Boar summon ability. The young man breaks into a massive grin and apologizes to the defeated beast, admitting the loot was actually incredibly generous. Holding the skill books, He figures his current mana pool means he can spawn over 10 of those massive beasts. With a mental command, the items vanish into thin air, confirming he just absorbed the new skills. Purple fire flickers in his hand as the interface confirms the abilities are fully locked in. Eager to test out his new toolkit, Wei Dao casts the spell on the ground to call out his newest buddy. Out of the dark magic circle, the colossal monster responds in pure bone form, letting out a furious roar. The interface confirms the new monster's stats are still totally on par with an elite beast. The kid is absolutely stoked about having a heavy tank on the team, knowing his XP farming is about to speed up even more. Suddenly, a sharp flash cuts through the nearby area, causing a massive explosion. Blown away by the sheer power of the move, the kid peeks over his shoulder to figure out where the attack came from. A little ways off, a squad of teens is having a loud argument right in front of a giant turtle they just found. Furious about the steal attempt, one of the kids steps up, reminding everyone that his squad found the mob first. Keeping up his totally arrogant vibe, Qianzhou claims his DPS is the only rule that matters around here. Hiding behind a tree trunk, Weida watches the drama unfold and realizes high-tier gear is the reason the enemy is hitting so hard. With zero patience for talking, the warrior swings his glowing blade, telling the others to get out of his way. The shockwave sends the students flying before they can even try to block the hit. Taking advantage of the absolute chaos, the giant turtle spins around and starts crawling away super fast to escape. Spotting the runner, the intruder charges up another lethal skill, promising the beast isn't getting out of here. But before the spell goes off, a bunch of skeletal mages pop out of the bushes looking incredibly menacing. Under strict orders, the skeletons unleash a firestorm on the turtle, successfully pulling off a crazy kill steal. Totally dumbfounded by the random explosion, Qianzhou screams, demanding to know what just happened. Thanks to that flawless interception, Wei Dao gets bathed in the system's light, confirming the turtle takedown and bumping him to level 3. Furious, the sword guy starts trash, talking the kid and asks how he has the nerve to steal his farm. Keeping his cool, the MC lies through his teeth, saying it was a totally random glitch and his minion just acted on its own. The enemy isn't buying the excuse, claiming the whole thing was on purpose, and already has his weapon ready to retaliate. Without missing a beat, Qianzhou fires off a massive golden energy blade, telling the kid to taste his sword. Feeling the pressure from the incoming attack, Wei Dao sticks his arm out, warning that he's going to block it. Right after, a front line of undead mages steps right into the attack path to tank for their boss. However, the sheer force of the cutting energy hits the skulls head-on, completely shattering all of them in a split second. Watching his summons get wrecked, the guy lets out a sigh seeing the damage. He admits that was a close call, noting the bones absorbed a lot of the impact and saved him from a major injury. Panicking in the background, the other students realize the creature's defense is super weak, and the kid is literally in the danger zone now. Convinced he's got the moral high ground, Wei Dao warns that the other guy swung first, so whatever happens next is totally on him. A ton of purple magic rifts tear open the ground as the kid commands a totally ruthless counterattack. Colossal bone boars burst out squealing, following strict orders to execute a brutal stampede. Charging in full of rage, the arrogant kid calls his opponent an idiot and claims the skeleton mob doesn't matter because they're all trash. But the giant summoned beast intercepts him, crashing head on into the glowing attack. Completely thrown off, Qianzhou is shocked and asks how a defense stat that high is even possible. Taking the opening, the massive undead beast unleashes a deafening roar right in the opponent's face. Following up, the animal delivers a savage headbutt, violently throwing the warrior backward. The impact launches the smug student through the air, giving him zero chance to block. Right after, the stampede of bone beasts charges across the field, literally trampling everything in their path. Completely battered, the swordsman hits the dirt, letting out a groan of pure pain. Before he can even try to stand up, the boar's giant hoof stomps down hard on his face, totally canceling any counterattack. The finishing blow flips Qianzhou's body up, scattering all his loot across the zone. Shaking with fear, the other trainees can't even process the insane power level of those summons. Looking at the duo, the kid suggests they drag the injured guy out of there to avoid him getting eliminated for no reason. The students follow the order instantly, super grateful for the chance to evacuate safely. Without waiting around, the guys grab their knocked out buddy and sprint away across the green field. Left alone on the map, Wei Dao stretches happily and announces it's time for the best part, burying the loot. Scanning the massive defeated creature, the kid figures a mob this big has to drop some seriously god-tier loot. Right then, a mysterious shadow drops from the sky, catching the guy's attention. A gelatinous monster hits the ground kicking up dust, spooking the student who immediately takes a step back. The interface pops up saying it's a level 5 boss known as the Dividing Slime. Impressed by the surprise spawn, the kid thinks it's crazy lucky to run into a boss of this tier so early on. Gearing up for an attack, the massive blue blob starts bubbling in a seriously creepy way. Spotting the danger, Wei Dao quickly realizes the beast is charging up some corrosive magic. Without hesitating, he fires off purple flames, commanding a phantom strike against the boss. The monster's acid orbs crash into the ground, instantly melting the grass all around. Checking out the damage, the kid realizes if that stuff hits him, he's going to end up looking just like his skeleton minions. Charging up power, the slime monster glows super bright, prepping a massive AoE attack. The kid counters by flexing his purple energy to summon the mage skulls, ordering them to nuke it with everything they've got. Following orders, the undead horde fires an absolute barrage of fireballs all at once. The magic attacks violently clash in mid-air, setting off an explosive showdown between fire and poison. However, the shield has gaps, and the green goo hits a skeleton, instantly melting its bones into nothing. Watching his summon get deleted so easily, he figures the mage barrier isn't going to hold up against that kind of DPS. Switching tactics, the student calls in his heavy beast squad. Realizing he's going to have to bet everything on their tank stats. Leading the charge, the giant bone pig delivers a savage hit right into the middle of the slime boss. The crash shatters the goo monster into a bunch of smaller pieces, splashing slime everywhere. Confident in the perfect hit, the student celebrates, assuming he just secured the W. But the jelly pulls its gimmick and splits into 2 aggressive mobs, proving the boss fight isn't over yet. The beasts start pulsing and charging up power again, looking super hostile. Multiplying even more, the mini-slimes set up a massive coordinated attack using their acid orb skill. Analyzing the enemy's play, Wei Dao remembers the manual's warning that slime mobs split up when they take heavy damage. The kid flashes a confident smirk, claiming that cheesy strat might work on other players, but not on him. Overflowing with mystic energy, he spreads his arms and declares that his insane numbers advantage is his biggest flex. The slime squad doesn't wait around and unleashes an absolute storm of corrosive hits on their target. Thinking fast, the kid commands the boars to form a front line to tank all the damage. The massive bone beasts eat the lethal hit from the green orbs, acting as a flawless meat shield for the rest of the team. Using the cover, Wei Dao positions the skull mages behind the tanks and orders them to spam attacks endlessly. A literal rain of fire takes over the sky, completely wiping out the zone where the rival slimes are sitting. The violent explosions clear out the green area, leaving zero chance of survival for the mobs. Right after, the golden light beam pops up, announcing that dropping the boss secured an instant skip to level 7. Hyped by the loot scattered on the ground, the kid flexes the massive amount of items that just dropped. Checking out the basic blades and potions, he figures he can sell it all and make a serious bag back in the city. Keeping it strictly business, the student pulls out a huge cloth sack and starts stuffing all the boss drops inside. Tying up the packed bag, the guy flashes a happy smile, promising he's going to grind hard to stack even more cash. Out of nowhere, the interface dings, saying the trial timer is up and starts the auto return process. The kid's body starts to glow, making him complain out loud about why the run had to end so fast. In a blinding flash, the student gets teleported back to the real world, hauling his precious bag of loot. Around the military base, a bunch of other students start popping in, looking totally shocked at how fast the time flew by. Wei Dao steps out of the spawn zone looking annoyed, grumbling that he was barely even having fun yet. Nearby, the trainees are gossiping, super relieved to be alive, and hyping up Su Xiaojing's insane DPS. Eavesdropping, the kid agrees that soloing an entire horde proves the angel class is absolutely top tier. Right then, one of the guys from school comes running up, saying he's been searching for him everywhere. With that, the chubby buddy known as Zhang Dan arrives completely out of breath, asking what level the MC managed to hit. Wei Dao guesses his buddy probably hit level 5, laughing it off. The kid says that's pure delusion and they'd build a statue of him if he pulled that off. The chubby guy proudly flexes that he hit level 4 and asks if the MC doesn't think that's an epic achievement. The kid congratulates him on the milestone, assuring him the bonus points are basically locked in for his grade. Hyped up, Zhang swears to be the MC's personal bodyguard from now on. While chatting outside, they notice someone making their way through the massive crowd of trainees. Zhang spots the school idol pulling up to start drama again and tells his buddy to chill, saying he'll help handle her. Suddenly, a hand grabs the guy's shoulders from behind with crazy force. With zero hesitation, Su Xiaojing shoves the chubby kid out of the way, telling him to back off immediately. Caught off guard by the shove, the poor guy trips over his own feet and face, plants hard onto the floor. Furious about the unnecessary toxicity, Wei Dao pulls out his shovel and warns her he's not going to go easy on her, just because she's a girl. The swordswoman rushes in looking mad, throwing a direct attack and declaring she just wants a serious 1v1 with him. Proving he's got crazy reflexes, the kid uses the shovel handle to parry the heavy strike, sliding backward to completely absorb the impact. The fierce clash between the magic weapons kicks up dirt in the yard and creates a heavy shockwave around all the students watching. Not giving up an inch, the girl charges up a new light attack, but the MC just casually points out that her cast time is way too slow. Stopping the energy blade like it's nothing, the guy roasts his opponent, asking if that weak strike was really her ultimate move. Shook by the flawless parry, the girl activates her scanning magic, totally confused as to how her classmate blocked her attack when she was going almost all out. The scan spell exposes the hidden system stats, leaving the girl completely speechless when she sees he's already hit level 7 in record time. The blades aggressively break apart while the idol admits she's super salty about grinding non-stop and only hitting level 6. Taking advantage of her stumbling back, the heavy metal tool stops mid-air just a few millimeters away from the girl's neck. Maintaining absolute dominance over the fight, Wei Dao stares at his opponent and asks why she didn't even try to dodge the counter. Dropping her guard without putting up a fight, Su Xiaojing lets out a sigh and admits there was no point trying to move since he beat her again. The student turns her back, telling him to drop the ego, and swears they'll settle the score for real on the day of the final exam. Watching the annoyed girl walk away, the MC scratches the back of his neck, agreeing she's super pretty, but thinks the hardcore rivalry is just stupid. Still thinking about it, the guy realizes that hitting level 6 in a noob zone on day 1 proves the girl has some seriously insane raw talent. Then, the kid flashes a sneaky grin, remembering that the stuck-up guy from the Chuan family was an amazing punching bag for farming XP. Dusting off his clothes, Zheng walks up and complains that his buddy should have just dropped his level stats earlier to save him from taking that embarrassing fall for nothing. Showing exactly zero empathy for his friend, the guy argues it's not his fault if the chubby kid decided to try and play hero for the school idol. Changing the subject mid-walk, the student announces he's got some urgent errands to run and ditches his friend to keep walking solo. Taking the back streets of the city with a huge loot bag slung over his shoulder, the kid finally reaches his spot. Parked right in front of a massive trading hub, he's totally focused on selling his dungeon drops to make some fast cash. Out of nowhere, some sketchy dude approaches Wei Dao on the street and quietly asks if he's looking to buy some rare gear. Meanwhile, a luxury car cruises smoothly down the highway under the late afternoon sun. Behind the wheel, the genius girl's dad checks the rearview mirror, noticing her grumpy face, and asks why she's looking so down. Staring out the window, looking completely dead inside, the girl asks herself if all her grinding has just been a waste of time. Worried about his daughter venting, the dad tries to cheer her up, hyping her up as the most exceptional student in the entire academy. Even after hearing the pep talk, Su Xiaojing grips her arm and admits that, regardless, Wei Dao completely washed her this morning. Seeing how crushed she is, the head of the family offers to scare the kid and teach him a lesson so he stops getting in the way of the family's plans. The student shoots down the offer instantly, stating firmly that she's going to grind hard to beat her rival using her own skills. She uses the moment to drop the news that the kid injured the Qian family's oldest son, and asks her dad to step in when the rich family tries to retaliate. The VIP dad laughs out loud, okaying the girl's request, but thinks to himself that he definitely needs to run a background check on this cocky kid. Back at the shop entrance, the merchant swears his deals are the best in the area, but the kid ignores the pitch, wanting to offload his own stash. The guy suggests they do the trade directly with him to save time, which immediately tips the kid off that the scammer is trying to hustle him. Acting all innocent and putting a hand on his chest, the vendor claims he's Elder Zhang and swears he has the reputation of running the most legit deals in town. Completely ignoring the guy's sales pitch, the kid just drops his massive loot bag on the sidewalk and tells the middleman to appraise the whole stack. The second the knot is untied, a super bright golden light floods the sidewalk, leaving the merchant absolutely stunned at the drops. Checking out the pile of loot, Zhang pulls out a magic blade and praises the level 5 farm, while listening to the kid name a price for all 25 pieces. The hustler thinks fast, crunching numbers in his head, and lowballs an offer of 15,000 for the entire mountain of gear dumped on the pavement. Making it crystal clear he isn't getting scammed, the kid holds up his hand and demands at least 20,000 to close the deal right then and there. Moving way too fast and acting desperate, the scammer grabs the kid's hands, locking in the deal before the student can change his mind. The guy stands there looking at his hands, realizing he totally got played on the sale, figuring he should have asked for way more money. Packing up the merch super fast, the middleman guesses the kid is from the first academy based on the loot tier, and Wei Dao just nods along. Keeping the smooth talk going, the guy pulls out a small dimensional pouch and tries to push the new item, claiming the inventory slots will be clutch for the final exam. Already seeing how useful a storage item is, the kid asks for the price to see if the investment is actually worth it. The merchant throws out a pitch saying the piece goes for 50,000 market price, but he'd drop it to 30,000, just as a solid for a valued new customer. Knowing the guy is a master scammer, the kid points a finger right in his face and slashes the price in half, offering a flat 15,000. The middleman accepts the counteroffer instantly and whips out his phone with the transfer QR code, warning that all sales are final. The phone screen buzzes, showing the payment confirmation, wrapping up that fast and sketchy street deal. With the new magic bag in hand, the student does the math and instantly realizes he just got hustled by that guy a second time. In a run down part of the city, a gray-haired old man hands a set of keys to a lady, letting her know his stay is only for 30 days. The landlord says thanks, letting him know he can just leave his stuff behind when he moves out, while the mysterious old man just nods with a stern look. The elder takes a deep breath, evaluating the mission, and thinks the family head went totally overboard sending a pro like him to just stalk some inexperienced kid. In that same poor neighborhood, Wei Dao is taking a chill walk down the dirt roads heading home and walks right past a very pretty woman. The local named Wu Xinyu turns around and greets the kid super enthusiastically when she notices he's back. The student waves back politely while the woman excitedly mentions she heard the rumors that he awakened and instantly became the top dog at school today. Unable to hide her hype over the news, she steps up and gives the kid a huge hug from behind, leaving him completely frozen in the street. Holding the kid like they're super close, the lady softly admits that she finally has the perfect excuse to hand over the gift he's been waiting for. Xinyu leans in close to the student's ear and whispers, telling him to close his eyes so she can get the surprise ready. Blushing hard, the kid starts overthinking her isolation and wonders if she's been feeling super lonely since she lost her partner. Completely shattering the vibe the kid was imagining, she pulls her arms back suddenly and holds up a modest little wooden box while laughing. The kid takes the simple item super carefully, staring at the woman, completely clueless about what the gift actually means. The glowing system interface pops up, explaining that the finger-shaped bone inside buffs undead-type beasts and grants a temporary, spooky mutation. Looking totally heartbroken, the lady explains the item belonged to her late husband, who was also a summoner, and suspects his passing is linked to this thing. The woman hands over the artifact begging him to take up her fallen husband's mantle, and Wei Dao instantly gets that the gift comes with a side quest to solve the crime. Staring hardcore at the box, the kid realizes the stats on this item are absolutely massive, but the danger attached to it is definitely no joke either. Weighing the massive risk against his need to level up, all the kid's hesitation vanishes, and pure gamer greed takes over his eyes. Holding the creepy loot, Wei Dao figures high risk means high reward. Since the lady was always super nice to him, he decides to back her up on this. Standing tall, he promises the woman he'll go all out to get the job done. Relieved by his answer, Wu Xinyu grabs the kid in a massive hug and says thank you. Trapped in the hug, the student thinks he hasn't even started the quest yet. The lady lets out a sigh of relief, promising that just him accepting the request was already a massive help. Then, the kid says goodbye with a wave and tells her he needs to head back to his place for now. As soon as he steps into his apartment, the heavy wooden door slams shut right behind him. Chilling on the living room couch, the student stares at the bone item on the table, absolutely sure this artifact comes with some crazy hidden lore. Right away, the kid clenches his fist, dropping some heavy purple energy, and decides to test out the item's direct buffs on the spot. A dark spell wraps around the guy as he triggers the corpse mutation skill. In a flash, a burst of dark power floods the entire room, giving off a super bright light. The interface confirms the skill was activated successfully, noting that staying in this form drains 1% of his total XP for every minute it's active. Fully transformed into a literal skeleton wearing regular clothes, the kid looks at his hands, mind blown by the ridiculous spike across all his stats. Super hyped about his devastating new power, he immediately figures out the spell buffs every single physical trait of the user. Moving his hands down below his belt, the student tries to check if his most vital area also got blessed by the magic, but the skeleton student sheds tears of absolute despair when he realizes the buff completely bypassed the most important part. Grabbing his own skull, he begs to turn back human instantly and screams that he 100% rejects this trash buff. The spell breaks, giving him his flesh and blood body back, and the kid breaks into a cold sweat, sobbing with relief that his natural stats have returned. Seeing the purple flames fade from his hand, the guy lets out a calm breath, realizing he can toggle the spell on and off whenever he wants. Rubbing his scalp, the student notices the skill just ate up a massive chunk of his XP bar in a really short time. Right then, his train of thought is totally derailed by some aggressive knocking on his front door. Startled by the random pop in, the kid turns his head and yells out to ask who's out there, but the hallway stays dead silent, with zero response for the guy inside. Walking super slowly toward the door, he demands an answer, wanting to know why the person isn't saying a word. The knob turns slowly and the wooden door swings open, letting out a highly stressful squeak. A spooky silhouette with glowing eyes steps out of the dark, calling the kid by his name in a terrifying voice. Getting massively jump scared, Wei Dao thinks he's looking at a ghost and throws a panic punch straight at the weird face. The fast punch is right on target, but the strike gets completely blocked by the creepy guy's rock, solid hand. Acting incredibly chill, the old man asks the kid to calm down, explaining he's just the new neighbor who just moved in next door. The elder loudly praises the kid's reaction time, noting he's exactly the kind of guy the Harris was keeping tabs on, while the student apologizes for swinging at him. Happy with the quick test, the gray-haired old man says he just dropped by to say welcome to the neighborhood, and turns to leave looking totally relaxed. Closing the front door, Wei Dao thinks that entire interaction was weird as heck and wonders to himself who this Harris even is. Early the next morning, a lone bird flies peacefully across the sky under the bright sunlight, hitting the school courtyard. The main quad is instantly packed with hied-up trainees, all grouping up in front of the school's massive hologram screen. In the crowd, the students are gossiping excitedly, remembering today is the big day when the final grades for the practical exam drop. Xu Xiaojing walks up to the MC, demanding to know how he hit level 7, but he just answers that he took down a boss and a bunch of elite mobs. The school idol's eyes go wide, completely stunned, claiming it's impossible for a noob to clear a secret domain boss this early. Up on the stage, Principal Wang grabs the crowd's attention and kicks off the announcement of the tournament winners. The glowing screen shows Wei Dao taking the undisputed #1 spot, listing all his boss takedowns that solidly locked in his level 7 rank. Grabbing her own hair, the swordswoman is shook to realize her rival wasn't capping about his stats at all. The rest of the students are mind-blown that a hidden class took the W, while some theorize the kid even completely washed the arrogant Chuyan Jiao in the dungeon. Looking super proud, the principal announces that Xu Xiaojing locked in second place by taking down a wolf boss and hitting level 6 with pure skill. Staring at her rival's back, the girl swallows her pride and admits he's got skills, but promises their 1v1 rivalry is far from over. Flexing a super arrogant vibe, the guy just turns slightly and throws shade, saying he'll always be ready to take her on anytime. Wrapping up, Wang reminds everyone they have 29 days left until the final exam, telling them to keep grinding hard until the big day. Ignoring all the hype from his classmates, the kid starts walking off solo across the yard, totally locked in on his own maxing goals. With the clock ticking down to the exam, the guy picks up the pace, convinced he needs to hit the hidden domains hub to power level as fast as possible. On the giant digital bounty boards, a bunch of merc quests are offering huge payouts for dropping high-tier beast loot. Scrolling through the quest list, he sees the rewards are pretty sweet, but totally vetoes the idea of going back to farming those boring green plains. Hyped for a real challenge, the student taps the screen and locks in his choice to raid the hardcore orc den this run. Walking through the massive military hall, the kid joins up with other adventurers grouping around the giant teleport arrays. Confident in his new buffs, he steps through the blue rift, claiming this run is going to be the perfect DPS check for his current build. A bright magic flash swallows the player, sensing the real world up with the mysterious interior of this new secret zone. As soon as he spawns into a dense jungle, the kid thinks the chill vibe is pretty sus and guesses this doesn't match the death trap he was expecting at all. A few tiny, harmless critters peek at the new player taking a casual stroll through the grass and thick trees. Not falling for any visual traps, the guy flares his dark magic to summon his skeleton crew, knowing the mobs in this zone love to gank in packs. Hiding in the dark leaves up in the trees, brainless beasts with glowing red eyes are carefully tracking the skeleton army walking below. A massive wolf-like creature jumps out of the shadows, flashing razor-sharp claws, ready to go straight for the human player's neck with zero warning. Spotting another beast rushing in, the student complains about how these mobs are always trying to pull off cowardly sneak attacks. Completely over the same old gimmick, he charges up a heavy purple spell, asking out loud if every mob in these hidden domains plays like a camper. The phantom flames hit the creature mid-air, making the half-wolf howl in pain, while the blast violently scorches its hide. The brutal hit slams the beast into the dirt, shattering its bones and kicking up a cloud of dust in the forest. The system UI confirms the quick takedown of a basic gnoll, directly depositing 5 XP points into the kid's account. Guarded by his skeleton wall, the player scans the shadows, 100% sure the rest of the pack is definitely camping nearby. Proving his game sense right, countless enraged beasts leap out of the bushes, charging from all sides to avenge their downed teammate. Flashing a serious look, the kid celebrates his big brain read while his bone mages prep the counter engage. Showing absolutely zero chill, Wei Dao points his hand and orders his squad to nuke all those ugly mobs. A barrage of fireballs hits the targets mid-jump, torching their fur and frying them before they even touch the ground. The insane fireworks display wipes the entire camp, taking out all the tier 3 gnolls and making the kid's XP bar absolutely skyrocket. Once the smoke clears, a massive pile of crispy remains covers the grass, leaving a seriously full smell all over the zone. Casually resting his magic tool on his shoulder, the student celebrates his crazy RNG for hitting a massive farm right at the spawn point. Super hyped about all the loot, he drives his shovel into the ground and swears he's going to flawlessly bury every single one of those drops. After 10 minutes of pure grinding, the shovel rests on the grass, surrounded by a bunch of glowing orbs made of pure magic. Sitting on the ground to regen stamina, the digger checks his inventory, spotting several corpse oils, essence sticks, and a hidden mystic manual. Holding the eye-shaped magic badge, the kid is totally hyped to realize he just unlocked a super rare system scanning spell. Stoked about the glowing book in his hands, the guy keeps celebrating the drop, knowing this new arcane vision is going to be incredibly OP. Happy with the loot, Wei Dao flexes that this spell is going to save him a massive amount of cash on skill books. Checking on his giant pig, he notices the recent XP flood is almost enough to upgrade the skeleton beast again. To speedrun the process, the kid unlocks the small wooden box and pulls out the creepy dark finger bone. Pressing the magic item right against the massive beast, the kid announces it's time to initiate the upgrade. A violent burst of purple energy goes off instantly, completely wrapping around the beast. The interface confirms the upgrade was a success, stating the undead pig just hit the beast commander rank. Checking out the spooky new model, the kid is blown away to see the beast's total stats almost hit the 2000 mark. Super happy with the RNG on this upgrade, he decides to officially name his giant tank Peppa. Taking advantage of the moment, the guy pops the magic incense to pop an XP booster and upgrade his skeleton caster. Moving fast, he snaps his fingers looking totally confident and triggers the instant upgrade for his summon. Magic floods the area once again, evolving the basic minions into way more terrifying units. Just like that, the glowing UI announces the caster broke through the limits and hit the epic boss tier. Staring at his sinister new minion rocking a red cloak, the student hypes up the drip and names his new buddy Ains. With his troops fully buffed, the player stretches his limbs, totally ready for the next stage. He starts walking again, stepping confidently through the thick jungle, looking to pull aggro and find new challenges. Picking up speed through the bushes, Wei Dao promises he's going to completely wreck this orc base. Up ahead, a mob of beefy minotaurs armed with axes is patrolling the area, letting out hostile grunts. With zero warning, a barrage of fireballs rips through the air straight at the animalistic beasts. One of the massive monsters stops in its tracks, totally confused about where that sudden flash came from. Unable to react, the beast eats the fire blast head on and gets launched backward by the explosion. Leading the flawless sneak attack, the kid points forward and commands a full team push from his summons. Furious about the cheap shot, the minotaurs raise their massive weapons and let out a scream of pure rage. Surrounded by the dark fog, the MC taunts the enemies, looking to push his limits in this fight. The answer comes in the form of a relentless storm of spells that heavily punishes the invading squad. After 3 hours of pure grinding, the giant boar is still flattening beasts without breaking a sweat. Looking at the loot scattered in the dirt, the interface pops up saying the requirements are met and his class just auto-leveled. A bright flash covers the kid the exact second his immortality skill gets a massive damage redirection buff. Checking out the new perk, he is absolutely floored to realize that as long as he has enough summons, he's basically unkillable. On top of that, his magic tool unlocks the weirdly OP ability to open ancient graves and resurrect the fallen as loyal minions. Resting the tool on his shoulder, the student lets out a little laugh, admitting this new feature is just straight up toxic. Out of nowhere, a piercing arrow is fired super fast from a thick bush. The projectile cuts through the air at insane speed, aiming right for the player's completely exposed back. Spotting the danger out of the corner of his eye, he turns his head and realizes he's about to get hit. But the kid can't dodge in time and takes the hit dead on. getting knocked back by the impact. Far away, one of the skeleton casters suddenly explodes, absorbing the entire lethal damage from that sniper shot. The kid's body slides hard across the grass with the arrow buried right in his chest, but he pops right back up instantly, and the arrow falls to the dirt, revealing he didn't even take a scratch. Scanning the area with sharp eyes, the guy lets out a massive sigh of relief that he didn't just get sent back to the lobby. Amazed by the surprise test, he celebrates that the damage redirection to his mobs worked flawlessly. Sensing the threat locking onto its boss, the giant skeleton boar lets out a deafening, angry roar. The massive beast charges violently, tearing through the tall grass to hunt down the stealthy sniper camping in the jungle. Showing off crazy agility, a giant minotaur leaps out of the way, dodging the brutal charge by a hair. Knowing this guy isn't just a random mob, the kid triggers a scan spell instantly. The UI reveals the beast's identity as Yason, a terrifying minotaur boss rocking the elite sniper class. The student's eyes go wide, stunned to realize the beast actually has high AI and its own class build. Not giving the kid a second to think, the giant boss fires another devastating arrow through the air. With the shaft digging deep into his own shoulder, the guy stumbles back, yelling from the force of the critical hit. The weapon fades away into magic dust while he admits he would be totally done for if not for the protection buff. Seeing his target is still standing, the violent creature drops its guard and goes in for melee range. Feeling cocky, Wei Dao warns that the enemy's turn is over and now it's his time to unleash his ultimate combo. The beast freezes, looking totally confused at why this tiny human is acting so arrogant. In a flash, the MC pops his speed boost, completely vanishing from the sniper's line of sight. The kid coordinates an emergency tactical retreat for his undead troops, stating he has zero obligation to fight right now. Furious about the sudden evasion, the boss shatters the ground and starts frantically hunting him through the woods. Up ahead, the bone pig is sprinting and kicking up dirt while the enemy screams at them to stop running. The student hits the brakes, suddenly when he runs right into the entrance of a massive stone cave. Walking into the dark super carefully, he gets a massive jump scare when he bumps into a skeleton tossed against a rock. Weirded out by the vibe, the kid thinks it's super sus to see this many human remains dumped in this dark room. The piles of bones cover the rocky floor, making the path look absolutely terrifying and sketchy. Suddenly, the player's eyes go wide as he pieces it all together, realizing he just walked right into a perfectly set up trap. With a loud crash, giant boulders collapse, completely sealing the cave entrance in a matter of seconds. In the pitch black, countless glowing red eyes start shining in the shadows, totally locked onto their target. Not letting it get to him, Wei Dao slowly claps, hyping up the beast's big, brain strat to trap its prey. Channeling his dark energy to the max, he announces hyped up that he's not going out in such a lame way. A massive wave of minotaurs jumps out of the dark, screaming and charging the front line. An endless rain of arrows pours down, forcing the skeletons to tank the heavy hits with their own bodies. The skeleton casters take heavy damage as the arrows pierce right through their elemental shields. Unfazed under enemy fire, the kid points out that the enemy's gear is going to break way before his squad runs out of HP. Cowling for a ruthless counter, push, he aims forward and orders his troops to nuke all those cocky beasts at once. Fire spells wipe out the squad, causing an absolute massacre lit up by the glow of purple flames. The beasts get completely roasted without mercy while the system UI floods the kid's screen with a massive XP drop. A beam of heavenly light drops from the ceiling, confirming the epic achievement of hitting level 12 right in the middle of a team fight. Cutting through the explosion smoke, the colossal boss reappears, swinging a heavy blade right at the student. Blinded by rage after watching his minions get wiped, the boss trashes the kid for being so disrespectful. Ready for the 1v1, Wei Dao celebrates that dropping this elite boss is going to rack up even more points for his profile. Triggered by the guy's arrogance, the giant boss points a hand and orders him to be eliminated. Right away, pillars of purple energy erupt from the ground, hitting the creature head on. The beast roars in pain while the magic skulls spam elemental fire at it non-stop. Fueled by pure hate, the brute jumps into the air, swinging his giant axe, and tries to send the kid to the lobby. The guy just stares at the lethal attack, casually dropping a warning that he's going to bury the enemy right after this. With a devastating crash, the beast slams the weapon into the ground, causing a massive shockwave. Through the dust cloud, a pure skeleton hand reaches out and grabs the boss's weapon with insane grip strength. The Minotaur curses in a rage, realizing he can't even pull his own blade out of that lock. Shielded by his high-tier minion, Wei Dao flashes a confident smile and says it's game over. Refusing to take the L, the beast lets out a roar and charges a heavy fire spell in its free hand. But before it can cast, the giant skeleton boar unleashes a fire breath straight into his face. Using the opening, the kid jumps up and delivers a savage hit with the shovel right to the target's skull. The impact of the magic item against the tough hide triggers a blinding flash. Unable to guard against the combo, the boss gets swallowed by a violent energy explosion. The interface hypes the W, confirming he hit level 13, while the kid praises his monster's insane DPS. Spinning the shovel around, the kid announces it's finally time for him to flex his real skills. Soon, countless glowing loot orbs pop out of the freshly dug graves, lighting up the entire cave. The kid is ecstatic over the insane amount of unreleased drops, including incense and even a battle axe. Holding his new stash, he lets out an excited laugh, promising he's going to make absolute bank off this. Suddenly, fast projectiles tear through the air, flying straight at the distracted kid. A mysterious white, furred minotaur flashes a wicked smile, claiming he's been camping him for a while. Relying on his quick reflexes, the guy slides backward, dodging the incoming weapons just in time. Curious about the sneak attack, he stares at the heavy arrows buried deep in the rocky floor. The sniper's eyes widen, amazed to see his prey actually manage to slip away so easily. Pointing a finger, the kid talks trash, asking if the beast actually thought he was out of stamina for the fight. The Dark Squad stands back up as the kid drops a sarcastic apology for ruining the beast's play. Shocked, the sniper asks how a beginner-level summoner can control such a massive swarm of units. Giving off a terrifying aura, Wei Dao claps back, demanding to know why this animal even has AI. With zero patience left, the human orders his skeletons to totally wreck this annoying animal. The skeleton casters push aggressively, shielded by phantom fire, to execute the command. Watching the swarm close in, the sniper advises his opponent not to celebrate too early. The animal lets out a deafening roar while the skulls spam fireballs in its direction. A massive explosion clears the combat zone, sweeping away the undead mage's attack. Taking advantage of the slip-up, the beast readies his weapon and fires off an earth arrow. The glowing projectile cuts through space at ridiculous speed, carrying a ton of destructive power. Mid-flight, the arrow splits into a bunch of energy beams that violently smash into the ground. Panicking, Wei Dao realizes way too late that the skill is actually a massive owl magic attack. The shower of glowing arrows punishes the ground, shattering rocks all over the place. With no way to block, the squishy summons get completely shredded by the crushing impact of the spell. Falling back fast, the kid calls in his boar and the advanced caster to take the front line. Answering the call, the giant bone beast charges in, letting out an intimidating roar. The sniper is totally stunned by the beast's glitch, like speed rushing straight at him. In a flash, the violent bone monster tackles the target with a heavy charge. The white, furred brute tries to brace for impact, but realizes there's no way he can tank that much damage. Going all out, the boar crushes the sniper into the dirt, unleashing a massive shockwave. The brutal crash forces the minotaur to cough up fluid, while letting out a groan of pure agony. Right then, the red mage floats up next to the enemy, charging a spell in its hand. Showing zero mercy, the monster blasts the flames straight into the injured beast's face. The spell's power floods the beast's body, making its ribcage glow super bright. The stored energy overloads, causing a lethal explosion that lights up the entire room. Watching the dust settle, the kid clicks his tongue, calling that defeat totally embarrassing. The guy crouches next to the downed mob and notices the animal is barely holding on to 1 HP. Even though he really wants to bury the target, he decides to drag the beast back to the devs, authorities, so they can study this AI. Far away at the entrance gate, the guards think it's weird that it's taking the trainees this long to leave the dungeon. Right at that moment, the military base's massive rift starts glowing super bright. A violent vortex of power takes over the teleport pad, seriously spooking the people nearby. Slowly, the majestic horde of skeleton casters starts walking right through the dimensional portal. The soldiers stare into the light, relieved that somebody finally made it back. The kid steps out escorted by his monsters, while a commander instantly recognizes him. Absolutely mind blown, the guards stare at the giant mountain of minotaur loot just dumped on the floor. Walking up to the commander, Wei Dao reports that a boss with high AI locked the kids inside the cave. The guard's eyes go wide, and he promises to call in the high-tier players to sweep the zone. Showing zero respect, the knocked-out sniper's body is unceremoniously tossed onto the hard floor. Pointing at the captured monster, the kid says there's no need to go through all that trouble for them. The officer is totally stunned, asking if the kid really solo captured a level 16 boss. Acting like it's just another Tuesday, the guy asks where he can cash in his rewards. Still completely shook by the reveal, the commander points toward the trade center right nearby. The student says thanks for the directions and turns around, leaving the guards standing there, absolutely speechless. Reaching the right room, the kid greets the NPCs a clerk super politely. He dumps his inventory, dropping a massive pile of horns on the counter for the lady to price check. The clerk is completely shocked by the insane amount of crafting mats dropped all at once. Carefully inspecting the haul, she confirms the whole pile is worth over 320,000 on the market. Flashing a huge smile, the kid holds up his phone and asks for the payout right away. The banking app dings instantly, confirming the massive bag just hit his account. With his pockets full, he walks happily in the sun and decides to hit the trading hub again to buy some new gear. Strolling peacefully late in the afternoon, the kid reaches the entrance of the giant exchange center. The guy crosses his fingers, hoping he doesn't bump into that scammer from last time. Right then, old man Jung pops out of nowhere, calling the kid buddy, and asking if he was looking for him. Already tired of this guy, Wei Do asks why it had to be him in this exact spot again. The kid tells the old man to back off, warning him he doesn't have any high-tier loot to sell today. Shadowing the kid, the merchant begs him not to be so hostile and offers to show him some god-tier items. Keeping his pace, the kid rejects the offer, swearing he won't even look, let alone buy anything. Faking a sad voice, Jung holds up a manual and a potion, complaining that these upgrade items won't find their perfect owner. Hearing that, the kid stops dead in his tracks, instantly locking in on the hidden items. The UI reveals an elite protector summon manual and the potion, leaving the kid totally mind-blown by how rare these items are. Without wasting a second, Wei Dao gets up in the scammer's face, asking how much for both. Taking the opening, the old man flashes a sneaky smile and reminds him the customer just said he wasn't going to buy anything. Feeling awkward, the kid changes his tune, claiming that deals can always be negotiated if the loot is actually top tier. Then, he dumps a massive pile of blades and heavy armor right in the middle of the street. The middleman appraises the mid-tier stash and offers 150,000 for the weapons. Triggered by the lowball, the kid grabs an axe, warning that this item alone goes for 100,000, and demands the guy stop treating him like a noob. The merchant takes a step back, scared, completely not expecting the kid to learn the market meta so fast. Haggling like a pro, the old man prices the manual at 50,000 and the potion at 150, proposing a straight-up trade. The deal is locked in instantly as the kid snatches the new magic items right out of the middleman's hands. Jung drops one last tip, telling the kid to never show his hand so easily to other people. Reading the situation, the kid admits the trader is definitely a master at sales. The old man waves goodbye and tells the kid to come back whenever he has more loot to offload. Surrounded by his skulls, Wei Dao figures that even though the guy is an opportunist, his inventory is actually super useful. Down a dark alley nearby, a sketchy guy is stalking his prey from a distance, celebrating the fact that the kid is finally completely alone. The criminal mutters that if the kid wants to blame someone for his end, he's got to blame himself for ticking off the wrong people. Without making a sound, the guy activates a magic blade that glows bright blue in his hands. The attacker sprints super fast right at the kid's back, setting up a lethal stealth strike. Sensing the killing intent closing in, the kid whips his head around, asking who's there. The attacker lunges with his knife drawn, screaming that the Chuan family dropped a massive bounty on the kid's head. The fatal attack lands directly on a skeleton caster that stepped up to body block for its boss. Flashing a ruthless look, the assassin orders the kid to go straight to the lobby. The blue knife cuts the air, delivering a deep slash to the victim's back, leaving a mess on the ground. Standing behind the kid, the attacker sheathes his weapon, thinking it was a total waste of time taking such a basic low-level quest. Completely ruining those expectations, Wei Dao taps the assassin on the shoulder looking absolutely determined. The guy turns his head, completely terrified, failing to understand how this kid is still standing. Holding a sharp knife, the kid warns that he really doesn't feel like talking about this at all. With a lethal strike, the guy drives the blade straight into the criminal's throat with zero hesitation. The attacker gets launched backward by the force of the hit, coughing up a mess while completely failing to process what just happened. Tossed in the dirty street, the merc lets out his final groans, claiming that failing this quest was totally impossible. The interface confirms the takedown of the level 39 attacker, handing over 30,000 XP for the W. Staring at the epic blade in his hand, the kid mentions he never thought his first PvP kill would be with this weapon. Time passes and the dark rolls in, covering the abandoned area with the silver glow of the moon. Right after burying the fallen guy in the woods, the kid receives new potions, herbs, and some really weird paper bills. Holding the exotic drops, he's completely mind-blown to realize that burying a human player actually triggers a totally different loot table. Checking out the bill with a skull printed on it, the kid wonders how exactly he's supposed to spend currency from the underworld. Countless spooky ghosts start floating around the cache, instantly triggering the underworld shop interface. A massive, glowing green screen pops up from the ground, showing the mysterious cash shop inventory to the user. The kid stares at the giant UI, absolutely fascinated by the insane scale of this ghost market. The magic shop displays manuals for devastating spells priced at hundreds of millions of credits. The market also sells arcane staffs and top-tier armor for completely surreal, well-tier prices. Looking at his single 10-credit bill, the kid gets salty, asking what on earth he's supposed to buy with this pocket change. With no other option, the guy closes the glowing screen, realizing he's going to have to farm this currency slowly. Dropping the shopping trip, he focuses purple energy into his fists, totally set on upgrading his skeleton tank first. He throws the spell at the grass, linking the spawn array with a powerful flash of light. A bone warrior holding a massive metal shield rises from the energy, waiting for instructions. Inspecting the beast, the kid confirms that this one is 100% a pure tank unit. Moving fast, the kid taps the glowing hand on the creature's forehead and triggers the upgrade spell. The power transforms the basic minion into a colossal bone general wearing heavy dark armor. Checking the stats, the kid is hyped about the monster's defense, claiming he just scored the perfect meat shield. Super stoked about his new wall, he names the beast Little Chiang while the animal lets out an epic roar. Holding the glowing purple potion, Wei Dao announces it's time to test the upgrade on his top caster. The kid pours the magic fluid straight over the red cloak of his mysterious creature. The animated remains go through a crazy mutation, getting the skin of a general holding a giant, lethal blade. The kid measures the beast's insane magic DPS and guarantees that in the next team fight, this guy is going to be the main carry. Happy with the overall team buff, the guy stretches his muscles, deciding to head back to base and log off for the night. Hiding in the dark bushes, the old guy from next door watches the whole thing, amazed that the kid actually managed to take down a pro attacker. Early the next morning, sunlight hits the massive, ultra-fancy estate of the prodigy girl's family. In the conference room, the old man reports to the family head that he literally watched the kid wipe out a level 3 hitman, sweating bullets. The employee mentions the kid even buried the body, and kept talking to his summoned beasts in a really creepy way. Intrigued by the bizarre story, the boss wonders why the kid would waste stamina digging a grave for the guy who just tried to take him out. The elder argues that the kid clearly doesn't need any special VIP protection, and the Harris is just being way too overprotective. The boss disagrees, reminding him that the girl wants to earn her pride back with pure skill, and would never let anyone steal her kill. The leader orders the tracking to continue until the kid enrolls in college, where he'll be officially shielded by the military. A few hours later, the giant dimensional vortex powers up, shooting magic beams across the dirt of the thick forest. Wei Dao steps through the rift super hyped to unlock the rest of the orc map that he didn't get to explore on his last run. Without hesitating, Wei Dao sprints through the trees, totally focused on clearing the creature's base. Up ahead, a massive army of minotaurs is grouped up around a weird shrine deep in the forest. Hiding behind a tree, the kid watches the scene, thinking this whole event setup looks super suspicious. The UI tags a minotaur priest boss, making the kid instantly interested in the mystic beast. He immediately pieces together that the sniper from last time kitted him away exactly to protect this sacrifice ritual. Spotting the intruder, the mob commander sniffs the air and alerts everyone there's an uninvited player in the zone. Enraged by the interruption, the boss orders his followers to trap the target instantly. Following orders, the minotaurs raise their weapons and charge fiercely, kicking up a ton of dirt. Keeping his cool, the kid summons Little Chiang and orders his heavy tank to completely stuff the enemy push. A massive wall of purple shields spawns in super fast right in front of the guy. The creatures slam their blades violently into the magic barrier, but the bone wall eats the impact without giving up a single millimeter. Using the block, Wei Dao calls and aims the caster and orders an immediate counter nuke. A brutal barrage of fire punishes the monsters, causing a colossal explosion that sends them all flying. Stunned by the wipeout, the priest wonders how his followers got deleted so effortlessly. Consumed by rage, the boss channels a powerful red essence, charging up an epic spell. The beast throws its hands up, praying to the earth goddess to drop the ultimate power buff so he can crush the outsider. But a colossal bone foot stomps the ground, instantly canceling the creature's casting animation. The kid orders Peppa to go all in, leaving the priest absolutely terrified. The giant skeleton creature lands a devastating critical hit straight into the opponent's gut. Thanks to the insane knockback, the monster commander gets launched far away and violently plants into the dirt. The giant boar pushes forward to finish the job while the beast begs it to stay away. Showing zero mercy, the beast absolutely flattens the boss with its front legs, kicking up dust everywhere. The interface flashes victory, dropping 20,000 XP for clearing the boss. Bathed in a pillar of glowing light, the kid levels up to 14. Feeling the stat boost kick in. Walking over to the remains, he thinks it's awesome that the creature actually dropped the loot before even getting buried. The screen shows the reward is a super rare manual for advanced concentration tactics. Holding the floating book in his hands, the kid flashes an amazed smile, calling this drop absolute god tier loot. He immediately hits the equip button, absorbing the book's power on the spot. A beam of light clears the kid's mind, while the spell gets permanently locked into his skill tree. Curious about the buff, the guy sits cross-legged on the floor, deciding to test the actual utility of the skill. The spell starts generating a massive amount of passive AFK experience, making the student hit level 15 almost instantly. Amazed by the crazy passive gains, he swears he can just camp in his room farming AFK until exam day. Happy with the raid loot, the traveler steps back through the arcane rift to return to his world. A few days pass by totally peacefully in the real world under the warm afternoon sun. Locked in his dorm, the kid stays completely focused, running the skill to farm passive energy. The guy opens his glowing eyes, announcing that the big day of the final server-wide exam is finally here. Full of hype, the student stands up, warning that it's time to finally flex his actual stats. The massive stadium of the First Academy of Xinjiang is completely packed to host the biggest event of the year. In the stands, the students are chatting excitedly, trying to guess what tier of beasts the devs spawned for the test. On the stage, the examiner steps up to the mic, warning that the test mobs are already loaded in. He breaks down that the targets range from level 10 to 20, split between normal mobs and lethal bosses. The guy turns to a student, telling him to set his own difficulty level based on his actual gear and stats. Using the PA system, the ref officially calls up the first candidate, Lu Ming, to kick off the run. Showing off crazy movement, the swordsman flips and lands perfectly in the middle of the arena. The player requests to fight 10 regular cow mobs and 1 level 15 boss. As soon as the mob pack spawns, the ref tells the student he can engage whenever he's ready. Ready for the clash, Lu Ming pops his red eye protection buff. The guy's body gets totally covered by a glowing red armor set, giving off a crazy intense aura. He grips a shiny red blade while the crowd recognizes the super rare pay to win weapon. A buddy points out that the sword boosts DPS, and the rich kid dropped 50 grand to buy it. Overhearing the gossip, Wei Dao gets instantly salty, realizing the scammer bought his exact same weapon for literal pocket change. Instantly, the warrior pops his speed boost, launching a completely devastating engage. Leaving a trail of red light, he dashes across the entire arena, perfectly slicing up the monsters. The kid stops his dash, sliding across the arena floor after landing the final hit. Super smug, the fighter tells the creatures to rest, and the mobs literally shatter into pieces right behind him. The giant screen displays the scores while the examiner calls the round, summoning Xu Xiaojing to the stage. An epic holy blade drops from the sky, sticking right into the gym floor. Gripping the weapon tight, the girl leaves everyone speechless by asking to 1v5 level 20 goblin bosses. The students are left with their jaws dropped in the stands, wondering if the angel class is actually that broken. From far away, the MC flashes a cocky smile, fully aware the popular girl only picked that difficulty to try and style on him. Countless green lights pop up, spawning the high-risk beasts right into the combat zone. The savage goblins raise their weapons and roar, trying to intimidate the solo player. Not even slightly scared, the girl flexes her celestial wings, triggering a blinding holy explosion. With an epic jump, she hovers gracefully way above the totally stunned enemies. The warrior swings the colossal blade, dropping a pure divine light slash attack. The massive golden wave tears through the arena floor, pushing forward with unstoppable pressure. With zero chance to parry, all 5 bosses get instantly vaporized by the lethal strike. Up in the stands, the guys are shaking in fear, absolutely amazed by the ferocity of the speedrun. Super hyped, the ref yells into the mic that the student racked up 300 points, totally breaking the scoreboard. The entire crowd loses it, praising the completely unreal power of the most admired girl in school. Walking past the summoner, the girl warns him that it's his turn to take the L in this rivalry. Up in the VIP box, an admin congratulates Old Man Wong on his students and gossips about the hidden class. Giving off a super arrogant vibe, the school principal claims he has absolute faith in that kid's build. Intrigued by the flex, the rival asks what difficulty level the young summoner is going to lock in for the trial. Thinking it over, Wong figures that if the kid maxed correctly, taking on 10 bosses shouldn't be a problem at all. Hearing this crazy talk, Principal Meng roasts his rival, claiming the arena's hard cap is 5, maybe 10 beasts at most. Keeping his cool, Old Man Wong just gives a little smirk and tells him to just watch the stream and see for himself. Right after, the examiner in the middle grabs the mic, loudly calling Wei Dao to be the next player up. While the guy is taking a chill walk to the arena, Xu Xiaojing steps up, asking him for a quick favor. The kid gets the request and promises he'll take the training weights off and show his real power. as long as she swears to carry his family in exchange. In the seats, the simps are absolutely furious at the audacity of this guy demanding a favor from the school idol in front of everyone. Without hesitating, the girl accepts the terms as long as he actually manages to beat her, and the kid takes the deal on the spot, telling her to just watch. With the deal locked in, the guy steps confidently right onto the arena ramp. He walks with heavy steps toward the center of the massive empty stadium, totally ready to kick off his practical exam. Dripping with confidence, the guy points at the ceiling and demands to fight 100 level 20 slime bosses all at once. The grader is totally mind blown by the troll request and asks over the mic if he actually heard that ridiculous number right. With that announcement, the crowd completely loses it, calling the kid a troll and warning he's gonna pass out from lack of stamina, just trying to hit that many mobs. Worried about the student's HP, the examiner tries to give the kid a chance to dodge the queue, but he states he's already completely locked in. Acting super cocky, the kid adds that he only didn't ask for 200 bosses because the game engine of the academy couldn't handle that many spawns. Face-palming hard, Meng complains about the noob's ego, while Wong orders them to just spawn the mobs quickly so they don't ruin the kid's vibe. With no way to decline the prompt, the grader sighs in defeat and just tells the kid to try and stay alive out there. Instantly, countless giant blue summon circles start loading in all over the battlefield. A colossal bubbling slime drops hard onto the ground, kicking up a massive dust cloud everywhere. Ready for the team fight, Wei Dao flares his hands with phantom fire, ordering his undead minions to spawn from the dark. Wrapped in an edgy aura, the majestic red, cloaked skull spawns in, leading an entire mob of bonecasters. Right after, the giant skeleton boar pops and roaring aggressively to put the fear of God into anyone who tries to push. The trainees shake in fear, spotting commander and general tier beasts, totally stunned by the overwhelming stats of their classmate. The gym is instantly swarmed by countless slime bosses jumping furiously right at the solo player. Reacting fast, the kid commands his frontline tanks to body, block the enemy's acid spam. The squad follows the ping in a split second, with the soldiers throwing up an impenetrable wall of metal shields. Behind the absolute defense, the caster mob charges their purple spells, waiting for the next shot call. An endless rain of fireballs crosses the map and nukes the slimes, causing catastrophic explosions all over the arena. Exploiting his massive numbers advantage, the kid points his arm, ordering his high-tier beasts to full send and wipe the floor with them. The OP red caster and the giant animal pop their sprint, tearing across the map to delete the remaining mobs. Leading the push, the dark boar violently flattens the bosses, splashing corrosive fluid in every direction. The sheer force of the tackle triggers a massive explosion that instantly fries the monsters. Giving zero chance to parry, the elite skeleton spins its massive blade, slicing a slime perfectly in half with lethal precision. Speechless at the absolute bloodbath, the trainees realize the level 20 mobs don't even have the stats to throw a counterattack. Watching the speedrun, Xu Xiaojing breaks a cold sweat, finally realizing this is the actual endgame power her rival was flexing about. With his back to a literal ocean of fire, Wei Dao spreads his arms, claiming that the real masterpiece is the explosion. An insane chain of blasts completely wipes the stadium, sending massive pillars of fire straight up to the roof of the sports complex. The system UI finally dings, broadcasting the total wipeout of the 100 bosses and officially ending the practical run. Completely shook, the judges admit they just watched absolute server history being made at the academy. The screen flashes the ridiculous high score of 900 points while the ref screams the flawless run into the mic. After confirming the absolute sweep, the entire stadium goes wild, clapping and screaming to hype up the kid's insane build. In the middle of the hyped crowd, Qianzhao punches the air, totally consumed by maximum tilt. The arrogant fighter clenches his jaw, super salty and refusing to accept that this completely toxic kid is actually that overpowered. Right after exiting the combat zone, the kid meets up with the genius student, saying GG and asking about her carrying that debt. Putting on a serious face, he admits he's actually worried his rival's clan might try some cowardly griefing against his family when he logs off to a new area. Understanding the sweaty political meta, the Harris stares at the kid and asks what exactly he expects her to do about it. Putting his hands together, Wei Dao begs her to take his family in and send guards, swearing he'll pay back the carry later down the line. Checking the quest difficulty, the student promises that shielding a few NPCs is basically a zero-effort task for her guild. Relieved to get that debuff off his back, the guy steps up and gives his teammate a massive hug to show genuine appreciation. Totally caught off guard, the admired girl blushes bright red from the awkwardness, while some random simp screams that he's going to PK the summoner for touching her. Several hours after the massive hype at the school, a starry night covers the lit-up zone. In the quiet of his dorm, the student camps at his PC, completely locked onto the glowing monitor. He punches his login into the global state server to finally check his official ranking on the leaderboard. Suddenly, the dorm doorbell gets spammed, completely interrupting the guy's stat checking. Jumping out of his gaming chair super fast, the kid runs down the hall, yelling that he's already on his way. The guy grabs the handle tight and loudly asks who's camping outside his door at this crazy hour. When he unlocks the door, he gets a massive jump scare, finding his parents and his little sister waiting in the hall. The little girl pouts, complaining about the lag time, and calls him out for probably doing dumb stuff alone locked in his room. Super happy about the surprise spawn, the kid laughs, agreeing that he totally didn't expect them to fast travel here so quick. The party walks into the base chatting happily, while the dad mentions they popped over the second they got his ping. Super eager to snoop on the student's daily grind, the little girl makes a line straight for the PC chair, trying to find all his hidden files. Staring at the glowing monitor, the little girl's eyes go wide, totally shook by the stats she just saw. The webpage displays the ridiculously OP score of 975, locking in the #1 rank in the entire server region. Shaking with hype, the little sister turns around screaming that he actually secured the absolute highest score on the entire leaderboard. Flashing a cocky smirk, the kid pats his little sister on the head, claiming that was just his casual AFK farming rate. Triggered by the ego trip, the girl shoots him a death glare, swearing she's going to completely wreck that high score when it's her turn to run the exam. Mind blown by the cracked stats, the parents ask which god tier guild the kid is planning to join with those numbers. Totally locked in, Wei Dao explains that his main quest has always been to enroll in the Modu Professionals University. The student drops the warning that he has to switch maps in a few days, telling his family to stay safe in the Shu Clan's safe zone. Putting a hand on his son's shoulder looking super proud, the dad promises they'll stay safe and tells the kid to watch his back in the big city hub. Already getting hit with the feels, the kid gives his parents a super tight hug in an emotional, cinematic goodbye scene. The clock skips forward, and soon the massive skyscrapers of the top tier academy pop up, shining under the morning sun. Walking through the modern hub zone, the summoner checks out all the activity, mentally hyping himself up for the new map. Holding his precious admission pass, the noob puts on his serious gamer face, ready to kick off this new tutorial phase. But the welcome is totally toxic, with a couple of high-level players ordering him to just go wait in a random corner. Right at that second, a gorgeous girl with long black hair pulls up dragging her luggage, politely introducing herself as the noob Nanji. Completely losing it, the two veteran simps drool over the new arrival, praising her unreal character design. One of them immediately offers to carry the girl's inventory, and she just says thanks for the carry. Salty about the blatant favoritism, Wei Dao mutters that he spawned in first and got completely ignored by the mods. Completely ghosting the kid, the veteran escorts Nanji, promising he'll give her a full tour of the campus map. Out of nowhere, a chubby noob comes sprinting and looking frantic, carrying a massive green loot bag on his back. He hits the brakes right in front of the pink-haired veteran and drops his username, Peicheon. Checking the admission stats, the veteran player trolls him, saying the noob's username gives off major bad RNG vibes. Without wasting time, the guide tells the noobs to follow him across the open courtyard. Scanning his chubby teammate, the kid notices the guy's spiritual aura is actually pretty cracked. Curious about the high power level, Wei Dao immediately toggles his detailed inspection spell. The UI pops up showing that Pei Qian is rocking the super rare hidden class of Blood Sacrifice Priest. Shook by the data, the kid figures his new duo partner is also rolling with a totally broken build. Next, Wei Dao drops his class info as an undead caster, making his buddy hype up the insane matchmaking. The kid celebrates, calling the bone summoning build absolutely top tier, but the MC tries to play it cool and humble. While walking through the hub, the older player drops the lore that the dorms are ranked based on total power level. Flexing his status, the veteran brags that he got placed in Zone 4, fishing for compliments from the chubby kid. The squad finally hits the check in desk where Old Man Kyun is waiting for the new spawns. Taking the lead, the guide tells the three noobs to drop their admission files right away. The three official papers are lined up side by side on the admin's desk. Scanning the files, the admin asks if Nanjai is part of the mega wealthy Jiajing clan. Confirming her VIP status, the old man instantly hands over a pass to the luxury housing in Sector 1. Super salty about the crazy high roll, the older student questions the admin's call and deeply triggers the old man. Sweating nervously, the pink-haired player tries to play off his embarrassment in front of the other users. Getting back to the quest, the admin assigns Wei Dao and Pei Qian to the exact same room over in District 2. Absolutely mind blown, the guide can't accept that these two random casuals also pulled high tier placement. Backing away from the desk, the chubby noob spots some wild activity going on just down the street. Hyped, Paekyun points ahead, dropping the info that the famous Shu Xiaojing also joined this server. Hearing the noise, the warrior turns her head and instantly locks eyes with her biggest rival. Not missing a beat, the chubby buddy runs up, trying to shoot his shot and introduce himself to the girl. Completely ignoring the guy, she walks straight up to the MC, wanting to know exactly which zone he spawned in. Left on read, the chubby student mumbles, feeling totally offended and guessing the girl is already simping for his duo partner. Wei Dao just drops his room number, noting that their spawn points being this close is some crazy RNG. Happy with the intel, the elite student turns her back and says see you later to her rival. Right then, the summoner spots another NPC walking up and asks who she is. A fancy lady wearing a hat introduces herself with total swagger as Wang Xiaoya, the new summoning meta coach. Keeping a chill vibe, the coach guesses he must be the famous new prodigy everyone's talking about in this lobby. Without throwing out an aggro warning, the woman pokes the kid right in the forehead, promising she expects some serious highlight plays from him. The student rubs his own skull, completely lost by the sudden weird interaction with the school mod. Giving the kid a light tap on the shoulder, the teacher drops the reminder that the server welcome event goes live tomorrow. Flexing max charisma, the lady waves and casually walks away across the courtyard. The two noobs just stand there frozen, agreeing that all this random hype is totally extra. Watching the whole thing from afar, Shu Xiaojing rolls her eyes in disgust, calling all the guys total pigs. Out of absolutely nowhere, a violent purple force triggers, tearing open a colossal vortex right in the middle of the map. The players in the zone start panicking, trying to figure out what the heck this terrifying dark rift is. Staring at the event from up close, a campus guard breaks into a cold sweat, realizing it's a literal dungeon outbreak. The guy sprints down the street panicking, yelling that he needs to ping the dean about the server threat right this second.